Hello and welcome to this episode of Mindset Mentoring for Athletes, Families, and Entrepreneurs. I'm your host, Coach Chuck. Today's guest is someone who bridges the worlds of science and spirituality to help people push past the limits of the mind and unlock their full potential. His approach to life, performance, and purpose challenges us to go beyond what we think is possible and to awaken the superhuman within each of us. So stay tuned for that.
Welcome to Success Institutes, where we turn potential into achievement. Are you ready to transform your mindset and unlock your true potential? We are experts at guiding teenagers, families, athletes, and entrepreneurs to break through limiting beliefs and release negative emotions, empowering them to adopt a champion's mindset. Do you feel like you have more potential to unlock, but something is holding you back from reaching it? Or do you feel that about your teenager, team, or business? At Success Institutes, we understand these challenges. Our Mindset Transformation Training and 10-week Transformative Habits Integration Program are designed to help you overcome unconscious obstacles, foster a growth mindset, and build habits that allow you to become a master of your mindset and a master of your life. Our foundational programs offer practical tools and strategies to shift from a mindset of defeatism to one of unstoppable success. Imagine gaining clarity, confidence, and the habits needed to reach your goals and enhance your well-being. Whether you're an athlete striving to reach new heights, a student pushing for academic success, a parent balancing your team's needs with your own challenges, or an entrepreneur looking to unlock your full potential and that of your team, we are ready to support you every step of the journey. Discover how our tailored programs can help you break barriers and build a future full of possibilities. Ready to take the first step towards transformation? Visit successinstitutes.com and schedule a discovery call with our team today to learn how you can shift your mindset, overcome challenges, and achieve your dreams. Success begins with the right mindset. Contact us now to start your journey to greatness.
Welcome back. Our guest today is Dejan Davcevski, the CEO and founder of Life Coach Code, a global platform devoted to helping people awaken their full potential by mastering the 4 pillars of the human experience: spirit, mind, body, and heart. Dejan is an internationally recognized life coach and thought leader who helps people bridge the gap between science and spirituality to decode what it truly means to be human. Through his work, he teaches others how to break through limitations of the mind, align their energy with their purpose, and live from a higher state of consciousness. His mission is simple yet profound: to help people decode into superhuman. It's a pleasure to welcome Dejan Davcevski to the show.
Dejan Davcevski is the CEO and founder of Life Coach Code, a global platform dedicated to helping people awaken their full potential by mastering the 4 pillars of the human experience: spirit, mind, body, and heart. An internationally recognized life coach, thought leader, and visionary, he bridges the gap between science and spirituality, guiding others to break through the limitations of the mind and live with purpose, alignment, and awareness. His work empowers individuals to transform stress into strength, confusion into clarity, and potential into power. With a mission both simple and profound, to help people decode into superhuman, Dejan Davcevski is inspiring a global movement toward conscious living and limitless growth.
Welcome.
Welcome, Chuck. Nice to see you. Nice to be here. Thank you for that awesome introduction. I'm really glad to come here today to speak about human potential, because this is a passion subject of mine that I can speak for days about. Because truly what we carry as humans has not been tapped even 1%. And a lot of us are giving up on our full potential. We are trying to replace ourselves and our capabilities with different types of tools, AI, all these other things, while we haven't even scratched the surface of who we really are as humans. So I'm, so to say, an ambassador for this potential, and I'm trying to spread the word as much as possible.
Well, I love the work that you're doing, Dejan, and I'm honored to have you here and share your wisdom and insights and experiences and all of that. Why don't you begin? Just give our audience a little background on who you are, where you're from, and how you got to where you are today.
Absolutely. So I'm coming from a very small country. Most people might not even know where it is. It's Macedonia. Like recently, we were rebranded as North Macedonia, and the country is not even 2 million people population. However, here, from very young age, you learn that you're basically kind of on your own. So you need to kind of figure it out yourself, basically how the world works. And we are very knowledgeable here about many different subjects globally. So this was probably, I was very curious child, and from very young age I was very curious about psychology, spirituality, about different types of sciences. I was getting encyclopedias, learnings about different things. So my passion for the human psyche and diving deep into our potential probably came because of my, so to say, struggles with my own psyche myself, because uh, life showed me the ugly side even since when I was young. So when I was 6 years old, my mom died, and suddenly the most important woman of my life kind of just disappeared like overnight, and I was left alone to deal with that. So what's really happening? And I kind of suppressed that until I became a teenager. So usually these suppressed things from when we are children, they kind of resurface when we are teenagers because our hormones act then, and kind of like our emotional body is a little bit more unstable, so there is a room for these things to resurface. So I became a very angry person, somebody I was not even recognizing myself. And I was trying to find a solution. What's happening to me? Why I'm suddenly so aggressive, so angry? What's taking over me? One of probably the best decisions I made in my life was to start running and start exercising and kind of channel this anger towards that. And I was noticing that every time I would go run, these kind of inner monsters and demons were disappearing, but only for a while. And in this window of clarity, a lot of wisdom I was kind of downloading. I don't know, some people believe universe, the nature, God. I don't know to specify what specifically was, but every time I was running, there was some wisdom downloading that was giving me the answers of what I was looking for. And I started slowly to put the puzzle pieces together, and it was probably after I ran my first marathon, full marathon, that I kind of realized how powerful the mind is, how powerful our subconscious is, and how much there is still for us to learn and understand when it comes to what it means to be a human, because there is so much depth in us. And I'm seeing we as people, we are living just barely scratching the surface. So this was kind of like a glimpse that pointed me to the direction of trying to understand the human experience a little further. After that, just like any young kid, I was trying to figure out what should I do after I graduated from university. And I decided to enroll on one course about how to start an online business. I studied how to start an online business, SEO, this type of technical things, and one of the best keywords to choose was, based on the monetary value, was life coaching. So I had no idea what life coaching is. So basically that's why I chose that direction. But kind of like a synchronicity or a coincidence, I don't know, but it was exactly the direction I was kind of pursuing. So I created a blog. I started writing on the blog as a personal outlet of every time I would run, I would get this download wisdom, just somewhere to express it. And with time, it grew up to be a platform for coaches. So 5 years ago, in the time of COVID, I realized that this what I'm starting cannot be a one-man show. I might understand few things, but there are experts that are expert in particular things. So if I get the experts and they serve as the puzzle pieces, then I can create a much more effective picture of what a human can do. So I started slowly going around the world, virtually of course, trying to find experts, coaches, professionals just like yourself, and interviewing them, bringing them on the platform, seeing what they work with, how they help people. And I slowly started putting this puzzle piece together. Then few years ago, 2 years ago, we developed the Superhuman Summit, which is consisted from people that we interviewed with. It's kind of like it's a 4-day virtual event, which every day we focus on one of the 4 fundamental pillars: spirit, mind, body, heart. And we are bringing people who we already interviewed, who we believe are top of the top, and they're kind of sharing their own puzzle piece. And when I'm saying puzzle piece, just for the listeners and the watchers, I want to make more clear, I mean a specific tool, a skill, a technique, a way of life that these coaches can teach you, that is kind of an additional tool inside your arsenal that you can use daily to live a more superhuman experience of your life. As an example, let's take just manifestation. This tool, this skill, if you learn, you're literally in the control to shape your own reality. You can literally attract opportunities into your life, and you can use these opportunities to move forward. Another tool is a flow mindset. If you learn how to enter this flow mindset on demand, your performance improves at least 10%. So imagine if you know how to just click this button, get into a flow state, and improve your performance 10%, no matter what you're doing in your life. These tools are literally the bricks of making somebody a superhuman. So I'm still just barely scratching the surface, but I'm actually trying to learn from the coaches I work with myself, because they are the experts in those particular fields. So I'm sorry if this took a little bit longer. It's not that much brief description of where I'm coming from, but at least this is the gist of what I do.
No, that was beautiful. In your answer, there are a few things I kind of want to delve into a little bit more. First was the loss of your mom at age 6. So can you talk about that experience? As somebody who, I lost my wife. Now my kids were older, and I've always wondered, boy, how would I have ever kind of helped a young 6-year-old kind of process that? Can you talk about that experience and how you think that might have shaped you?
Absolutely. So when I lost my mom, it happened really quick for me. So also for everybody in my family, we kind of didn't expect that she wasn't a sick woman. She just had a stroke, and I remember she fell sick. I saw her how she fell sick. I was scared. I was a child. I ran to my grandparents to tell them. They came. They brought her to hospital, and that was the last time I saw her. When she was in hospital, I remember I was in elementary school, and I was drawing her hearts and creating them from paper just for them to send to hospital. Uh, and I was a very good at pattern recognition even when I was a child. So I was playing a lot of video games that they kind of, you can find the pattern on how to defeat the boss, and I was really good at that. So I was kind of always pattern oriented. And after 1 week, I noticed something changed in my family. Now, from their perspective, my mom died, and they didn't want to tell me because they didn't want to. They didn't also know how to deal with all that was happening. My father, my grandparents, so they uh, processed this information themselves. They buried her, and after they buried her, they told me. But during this period of 2, 3, 4 days, while she was dead, I was kind of knowing. There is one family friend that I remember. I went to them and I said, and they didn't even know that my mom died. Only my family knew. So I remember I said to them that I guess my mom died, and I was a kid. I really didn't even know what dying really means. I was just maybe in cartoons hearing about it, but not really understanding what it means. So my family always tried to protect me from what happened, but in a way that they acted like it wasn't that much big deal. They never cried in front of me. They never showed any vulnerability, especially my father. And few days after they buried her, they set me down. My grandfather set me down, and he said, uh, your mom, she's now in a much better place. I remember as a kid, I was thinking, wait, they released my mom and she didn't even come home? Like, where is this better place? And he was kind of like more philosophical. He was saying to me, like, the only good people go there. She is now with all her grandparents. She is now in a much better place. We cannot visit her, but she is always watching you. And I kind of slowly started understanding. So it was kind of introduction to that my mom died, but in a very gentle way. which I'm truly thankful for to them. And that was it. After that, I just remember life went to go as much normal as possible as they can make, but they were not kind of making it a big deal out of it. So I was thinking like all these emotions I'm feeling, maybe they're wrong, so I kind of suppressed them. It was after years after that these emotions resurfaced, and they resurfaced in their own way. They resurfaced as, because whenever we suppress our emotions, they never come up as they were initially when we were needing to feel them, because we put them in some kind of like a bucket and they become a mix of that same soup, and when it comes up it's a whole different mix that you don't even know what's coming up. So they came up as anger, but after that they showed up as panic attacks and as anxiety. So because my body knew there is some certain energy stored within our nervous system, but it couldn't process what it is, because everything was seemingly fine around me, but suddenly there was this emotion, huge emotion that I was needing to feel. So usually when this happens, especially when your mental fortitude is a little weaker, if you're a little tired, and I guess a lot of your listeners know that our brains and our minds use at least 25% of our daily calories. So if you're a little tired, if you're depleted or burned out, this kind of barrier that the mind is there for regulate is a little more unstable. So these emotions can resurface. And they resurfaced as form of chaos, panic attacks. I was literally thinking I'm gonna die. And a lot of other things, small and big things, came out of that postponing of feeling these emotions. One of the things was I became obsessed with control and micromanaging things. Another thing was that I had some fear of death. I was afraid of getting sick or being in an accident, or so this kind of phobias came out. My grandfather was always saying it's fear of fear. So it was possibly that I was afraid of the feeling of the uncertainty and lack of control, because for a young kid, when something like this happens, life literally shows you that as much as you think you have control, you have probably less than 1% control of all the things that happen. You're just lucky most days. And our human mind cannot process that. You need certain types of beliefs to keep you in this kind of bubble shelter so you can sleep at night. But when this bubble is bursted, it's kind of chaos is coming. And this chaos comes in form of a panic attack, because you feel unsafe in your own skin, you feel unsafe in the world you live in, you feel literally like a goose in a field waiting to be shot. So I experienced that, and the one thing that really helped me with, so to say, overcoming 99% of these problems, so to say, not problems like symptoms of my body, was, I remember I went to a psychiatrist one day because of the panic attacks, and I was speaking with him, and he was a really interesting guy because he was loving to speak about space, and I was really interested in psychology. So I was speaking with him about space and these supernovas, and he was telling me about the psychology secrets. But he gave me some pills to drink for panic attacks. And I remember when I was drinking these pills, part of me was feeling like I'm betraying myself. So one day I got really angry and I threw the pills into the trash can. And I said, I did nothing wrong to be dependent on these pills in my life. And I did nothing wrong to feel these emotions. So if these emotions still anyway come, then I'm prepared to freaking die. I don't care. I don't want to put pills for me to protect me. If I need to face that, then I'll face that, and that's what's going to happen. Usually panic attacks were coming when I was tired, so I was exercising outside. I went to the park when I'm exercising, and I remember the moment very vividly. I started exercising, doing some pull-ups, and I noticed that a panic attack is coming, because they usually come in waves. The first one is a little slower, and then you know that the second and third wave is going to be hard. So my hands started tingling. I was really worried to not faint in front of people. I remember first thing that I did was just stop and immediately started going towards home. But then something within me stopped me, and I said, no. I promised myself that I'm ready to die, but not let this fear or whatever it is be a decision maker in my life. So if I say that I'm going to exercise in this park, I'm going to finish the exercise, even if it means that I die. And I went back. I remember panic attacks came. My hands really got like this, like probably some numbness. I was feeling like my heart will fail, but I stayed there. And if you really analyze a panic attack, it's really like waves. And then after third wave, it's lower and lower and lower. The big issue when it comes to panic attacks, at least in my experience, and how I observed it, is that we don't try to, we are actually scared of the panic attack itself, and we create an additional story that is scaring us even more. So we see, oh my God, am I gonna die? My heart will stop. Now it stopped. And this just adds fuel to the fire. If you just observe the panic attack, it will come, but then it will just slowly dissipate because it's just an energy wave. So I kind of did that, and I was really surprised that it disappeared. I finished my exercise, and after that moment, my panic attack stopped. Because in my opinion, I kind of faced death myself, or at least the idea of death. I was ready to go that one extra step than the mechanism in my mind that was afraid of that. So that mechanism was going till here, but I was ready to go one extra step to say, okay, I don't care, even if I die. And that kind of helped me. Now, I don't suggest this to, I don't know if it's not science-based, just what worked for me. So this was kind of the fallout from everything of what happened. And I realized that emotions are a powerful thing, and you cannot escape them. Unless you feel them, they will stay within you and control your life in ways you are not aware of. They will pull you literally like a puppet and push you in situations so you can face them and process them, and then they can just go away. Basically, that's what I learned from it.
Yeah, I know. There's a lot of things we can really kind of talk about in there. We might need to do another show too to kind of delve into all the stuff. But I want to kind of go back earlier on, during that whole process and the emotionality of it. But there's a lot of spiritual stuff that you definitely have addressed. You talk about as one of the four pillars and all, and spirituality, religions can really get tied in. Were you brought up in a particular religion or anything? Did that play into that whole, how your family taught you to deal with things, how you dealt with things? Can you speak to that for a moment?
Absolutely. So my family is not religious at all, and I was mostly spending time with my grandparents. My father is not religious at all because his father, my grandfather, was living in a communism time. So for them, military was here and then everything else. So they were not allowed to kind of go even to church. And in this household, my grandfather was kind of a person that he was really bridging two worlds together. He was his whole life he worked in a hospital, military hospital, assistant of a surgery. He knew every surgery, but he was also an acupuncturist, and he was also doing a massage expert, and he was studying in Sri Lanka with people who are masters in this, so to say, alternative medicine. And he was top of the top of his class. He wrote many books about acupuncture and the body's atlas and the chi points of the body. So he was kind of bridging the science and the energy aspect of health. And he had a mind that is a very philosophical mind that every night he was creating, when I was young, stories for me. He was telling different stories. He was telling me, he opened my mind to kind of that creative side. And he was also a person that whenever we start to speak with, we go dive deep into the rabbit hole of philosophy, of religion, of the story of Adam and Eve, and all these things we will speak about, but we will speak about the deeper meaning of them. So I would say that he was kind of a big influence when it comes to the way I'm seeing and I'm dealing with the higher, or the so to say, the spiritual. Because even though he wasn't religious, he was very spiritual. He was very much nature oriented. He respected earth. He respected life. in one of his book, one of his greatest poems that he was writing was for people to keep creating life, to keep creating people. That's what everything is for. And he basically introduced me that there is something greater that religion touches upon, but you don't have to be religious to actually understand this thing and connect with this thing. So yeah, I would say this about that. And then second, as I said, running became my, I don't want to say altar, but kind of like a way I will go to just be with me and myself and this higher thing. So whenever I will run, I feel like I'm connecting with something greater than myself, if that makes sense. And this, I cannot explain it, but it really gave me a lot of wisdom and answers. I'm not a person that reads a lot of books, so everything I kind of know is from either self-observation or from this higher wisdom that's kind of downloading wisdom to me.
No, that I think that helps us a lot try to understand where your perspective is on, spirituality, which is it. I think most people recognize that there is like spirituality, spirit. There's something else going on there. Religion obviously is a huge part of that for a lot of people. Um, I'm a very religious guy. I grew up in the Christian church. I left the Christian church as a teenager, and kind of came back to that faith. And I've always felt like emotions and the spirit and um, there's aspects of the mind separate from the brain, and they all kind of coalesce together, right? And I think this is that a lot of what I get from your whole superhuman aspect is there are those aspects that when we tap into them, they really raise our level of performance. And our mind sometimes can get in the way, our heart can sometimes get in the way. All those things can kind of get in the way, and there's that connectedness between them all. So I love what you do and the experts you kind of try to reach out to in those fields, because they all have so much influence on us. I do want to. I know we are only have several minutes left, but I could go a bunch of different directions. So, but right now, I was wondering if you could talk about this experience. You mentioned running a marathon twice, and as somebody who ran but didn't complete a marathon, I got to 22 miles and was kind of dehydrated. And to be honest, finishing it wasn't as important to me. I had a goal of running 8 minutes per mile for as long as I could, wanting to finish it, but it was more that time goal than actually finishing it. And anyways, you ran in a marathon, which is definitely a mind thing, but I think there's more to that marathon experience that I would love for you to share with everybody.
Absolutely. So, by the way, congratulations for even running over 20 miles because uh, I can personally not justify, but be so to say, a witness and stick to what I say that running 20 miles, it's not an easy task for anybody, especially if you have a time goal and challenge to keep it. However, these challenges we put for ourselves, I know because I also put a challenge for my marathon. It's really for your own self. This challenge is more important than maybe completing the marathon. For me, the challenge was to never stop. So when I start running, I cannot stop until I reach the finish line. Uh, I managed to do that. That gave me a lot more positive emotions than running the marathon itself because I was like, okay, I ran it, but I ran it in my own way that I said I'm going to do it. So I completely understand you in this. But when it comes to running a marathon, I believe a lot of people have heard about it, but I usually avoid speaking this with people who didn't run because they don't understand the suffering that happens while you do it. And even when I'm speaking right now, only the people who ran will understand, because the suffering that comes, especially after half marathon, when you reach that 20th mile, like the last 10 miles, they are brutal. You learn everything about yourself in those 10 miles. And one of the main reasons why I decided to run a marathon when I was actually I was 21 when I did the marathon. So as a young kid, I read a quote, and it said, everything you want to learn about yourself, you can learn in 42 kilometers, which is 26 miles. So I was like, whoa, that's interesting. And I was already kind of running, but not more than 5 kilometers, not more than like 5 miles. So I said, okay, I'm going to run it. And I'm a person who's very stubborn, and my stubbornness can be a positive thing, but also it can be a very, not negative, but thing that pushes me in situations that are not that comfortable. So I knew that the moment I'm going to start running, I will not stop, even if it means I'm going to collapse. So that was particularly before the event even started. One night before, I remember I was unable to sleep because I was scared that actually I put myself into this and I now have to do it. The moment came, I went to the start line, people were there, energy was high, so I was like, oh, this is good, like I can do it. And before that, the longest I've ever run was 21 kilometers, which is half a marathon, 13 miles, I believe, in miles. So I was like not ready, not prepared. I wasn't even knowing what I'm putting myself into. It was just pure will and just my curiosity and stubbornness. The marathon started just like any marathon, any half marathon, and energy wasn't high. I knew that I need a good strategy because anytime I will finish a half marathon, I remember the people who continued running, I was saying this cannot be possible because I'm already too tired. So to do that one lap again, for me, it was insane. So I knew I need to kind of like hypnotize myself or do something. And I decided that the first lap, I will not even listen to music. I will just put some these meditative sounds just to put me in this hypnotic state so I can finish the first lap, and then it can actually start for me. So then I can kind of measure it, because I cannot start fully and then do the same lap again if I'm in the same mindset as a half marathon, because literally it was a block for me. I ran a half marathon, I was like, these people are insane, I cannot ever do this. I know how hard it is to finish a half, especially the last kilometer of the half marathon, it's insane. So I was like, to run a whole circle again, not a chance. And in my city, the marathon is very mentally brutal, because you don't kind of continuously run, you run the same circle twice. So you know exactly what's ahead of you when you finish that first circle. You know exactly the suffering that's coming, and you know the length that you need to run. So it's hard for the mind. So I kind of tried to do this. I followed this strategy, and I finished the half marathon. To be honest, it helped a little, but I was still tired, exhausted. Half marathon when I finished, and I needed to continue. And I know it was raining, and I said, okay, here we go. And I started. When I reached kilometer 30, they say it's called the wall, they call it. It's usually when your body doesn't have any more calories to burn, so it's kind of starts eating from itself. Usually it's where the marathoners kind of crash down, and they don't finish the marathon because of it. In that moment, the only source of power is your will. You don't literally, physically, scientifically, you have no more calories to burn. So you need to mentally push so your body can figure it out and start eating from itself, so you can have energy to continue. In those moments, your mind is the loudest, and it screams to you every possible thing for you to stop. It screams to you every doubt you have about yourself, every insecurity. Even from the other side, it tells you, you don't have to prove anything to others. You can just stop. You don't need to continue. So it kind of tries to manipulate you in any way it can for you to just stop. And if you keep pushing, like kilometer 31, 32, 33, it's getting even louder and louder. And then there comes a moment when you have something like an out of body experience when you're kind of, it's very weird. You feel the happiest you've ever been. It's like you're observing yourself, but you feel the most suffering that you've ever felt. So it's kind of like this paradox of emotions, and it's like you are floating above yourself. And then you keep going and you keep going. And one thing that was really helping me was I was focusing on next 100 meters, okay, 100 more, okay, 100 more. I was kind of trying to re-manipulate myself to keep going. And then I saw an old person, which was clearly visible that he had some issues, but he was keep running. And I remember I was thinking like, yes, I will finish, but this thing that I'm seeing right now is really amazing. He is probably 8 years old and he's going through the same suffering for who knows what reason. He deserves to this all honor that I have. So I remember that I kept running, and with all energy I had, I just started clapping. While passing him, I just started clapping, and I was really saying bravo to him and kind of encouraging him. And this was one of the lessons I learned, and it's kind of like a reflection to life. I don't want to sound too much like philosophic and deep, but this is one thing that really sticks with me, is that life is a lot like a marathon, and we are all running towards a finish line, but it's not about reaching the finish line. It's about the person you are while you run. And that kind of opened my heart a lot. When I finished, it was one of the best feelings I've ever experienced in my life. Even though I went through that much suffering running the marathon, after the finish line, that's priceless. And if I live the same life again, I'll do the same thing again, because it's really a feeling like no other. You've And it stays with you. It's a feeling that it's a pride and accomplishment that sticks with you for the rest of your life. You can come back to it, and it's kind of like a solid structure that is always keeping your confidence. That you always say to yourself, "I did this," and it is a big deal. And this was the main thing that I got from it. So, yeah, I hope that answered the question.
Yeah, no, that, you know, I remember hitting the wall just about mile 20. And like you said, all, your body, that inner voice, all, emotions begin to play in. And pushing through that, it's understanding that wall, that first kind of barrier it really is all mental. Your body can do more. It's all mental. That for certain, that first kind of barrier that you hit, that first wall. Now, you know, I don't remember exactly how far it was that I, took to kind of push through that, but I got to just over 22 miles when, you know, got really lightheaded and things were beginning to kind of get foggy vision and all. That's when I first stopped and started walking a little bit. But that was then, still some of the mental, and I certainly could have quite, walked it in and all. But yeah, so that I think people got to understand it's not just about athletics. Athletics and the physical are a great way to challenge your mind, because your body and mind can really begin to scream out at you, right? So it's a great tool to push the mind, beyond that comfort level. Which I read a book fairly recently called "The Comfort Crisis" or "The Crisis in Comfort," and it really was talking about us in the West, America in particular, where life is comfortable for so many of us. And personal growth, by definition, really is about going beyond that comfort level. And we don't like being uncomfortable, but yet we need to be. So, doing physical feats are a great way to kind of push us that. I know you have a hard stop, so last little words. You know, do you have any strategies that you use in those moments, where life starts getting tough? You can use them from your experience in the marathon or any other situation, just a minute or two to just kind of any last little tidbits on strategies people can use.
Absolutely. So when it comes to me, I'm not that particularly good in moments when life throws chaos. I just know that it's a defensive mechanism of mine to kind of like stay calm and think facts and reason in a moment. But there are moments when emotions come, and the emotions can really twist your mind, your perspective, and pull you in directions that you don't want to go, and that it's not really you, it's not the truth of who you are, it's not what you really want to do, and they can act as kind of like projections of monsters upon people, and you can hurt people you love. Like whenever things happen and you let emotions kind of take over, more often than not we kind of do worse than if it was the other way around. So what I will suggest people is what I learned recently from a coach that I was working in project Superhuman. Frank Yovni, he will be speaker on the Superhuman Summit, and we were working with him about developing the bulletproof mindset, he calls it, and it basically comes from Stoicism, the whole idea. The Stoics believe that our emotions come from the judgments that we have. So every day, all day, you have certain judgments about people, situations, circumstances. Some of them you can control, some of them you cannot control. But these judgments create assumptions, and these assumptions create emotions that are not based actually on facts. They're based on the story that these assumptions create to fill in the gaps. And our mind is really good at filling in the gaps. It can make a scenario sound so logical that you will believe it 100% it happened, but it's actually not what happened. It just makes sense. So what me and Frank worked with, he told me for 7 days, train your judgment. First of all, document all the judgments you make. And second, the last day, try to go a full day without judgment. And I realized when you remove judgment, for example, you walk down the street and a car drive really fast, and you're immediately like, oh my God, this dipshit, why is running so fast, he's gonna hit us. That's all based on assumption. You are assuming he's a dipshit, you're assuming that he is driving fast intentionally, that he can hurt you. Maybe he is just rushing to see his wife, she's giving birth to his first child. You don't know what's happening in the situation. If you remove judgment, the facts are only that car passed fast, you are safe. Okay, then you go, keep going. So take emotions out of the equation itself, and it gives you kind of like the power whenever a shitstorm is happening around you to kind of like take judgment away, take all assumptions away, no matter how reasonable the story they tell you seems, and just focus on the facts. That's it. Just don't judge. If you find yourself judging, just take judgment away. If you are, for example, pushing hard and you are in a chaos, you're in suffering, you're running a marathon, and all these emotions come up, resurface, and you're like, I cannot do it. Take away all of that. All you're left with you, track and running, and you're like, okay, this is how much I have. Let's see to where I can go. That's it. No mind, no heart. You don't listen. You just keep doing it, and it kind of creates this barrier over your mind that is protecting you from being manipulated from the world around you, but also from your own emotions, and you are being there with whatever it's real. So that's the one suggestion I can say. I'm still learning it. I'm not a master in it, and but that's the thing that I found to work really well when it comes to situations and different types of emotions life will throw at you. So
Yeah, no, that's wonderful. That's, I talk a lot about being a sower of the seeds of possibility. And then part of that is learning to apply heat to your life, habit, emotion, attitude, training. And the whole idea behind the concept of this training is it's ongoing. Like we might strive for that super expert, perfect kind of situation, but we aren't going to achieve that, right? We just need to keep trying to get better. And, learning to recognize that emotions have a purpose and to try to understand what the purpose was will then help you kind of move forward from situations, right? And lots of times we don't stop to try to do that, so we hold on to the emotion, and especially negative emotions. When you hold on to those, it's not good for the body, not good for the spirit. It can really have long-lasting impact. So, thank you very much, Dejan. This has been a great conversation. Life Coach Code is your website, and you also have the Superhuman Summit. So, if people want to learn about that, they can also like Google Superhuman Summit, right, and find that page. And I know you've got this year's coming up. November, what was the date?
11th.
Say that again.
November 11th till
Yeah.
November 14th. And anybody who is interested, they can go on lifecoachcode.com. There is an event section, and on the event section, you're going to find Superhuman Summit 2025. There you will find all information, a way to secure your ticket, and to be part of this incredible experience, which is our third year doing it. This year is going to be the bigger and best yet. It's going to have more speakers than ever before. Plus, we're giving people an evergreen ticket for every Superhuman Summit that's to come. So if they invest right now, they're going to get a golden ticket for forever, for free, for any other Superhuman Summit to attend. And every year is getting bigger and bigger. This year we have over 35 speakers, including me, 36. And it's a 4-day virtual event. At the end of it, you're going to get digital recordings from everything. So they can serve you for live. You can rewatch certain sessions and relearn the tools and keep experimenting with them in your life. The whole underlying narrative this year of the Superhuman Summit is to activate your 36 superpowers. So kind of like for $39, you get 36 superpowers that you can use and live like a superhuman. And I don't think you're going to find a better offer anywhere.
And I highly recommend it, and not just because this will be my third year speaking at it, but yeah, there's a lot of good wisdom out there that Dejan, you do a great job bringing people in. So it's good work that you're doing. Thank you again. And for all of you out there, as always, I encourage you to, reach out, ask questions. If there's things that you're feeling unfulfilled, you aren't totally sure like what's going on in your life, reach out, coachchuck360.com, coachchuck360.com. If you send me your first name, last name, say show gift, I will send you a special link, and we can have a conversation, a strategy session to, figure out what it is that you think might be holding you back, or maybe you have an issue with your teenager, whatever it is. We'll have a strategy session, and I can kind of give you a little roadmap for that. And the other thing I also would, if anybody is interested in having me come speak, I love the opportunity to come speak, particularly about being a sower of the seeds of possibility. So if you run some sort of organization, business, school, camps, whatever it might be, I'm always ready to come and speak to audiences. So again, you can just reach out to coachchuck360.com. And until next time, go out and live life to its fullest.